Your daily dose of dopamine. My name is Robert. You may not have met this guy before, but I've had the pleasure of doing so. His name is Peter. Peter, hi. Thanks for being here.
Hi, Robert. Good to be here. Thank you.
Peter, you are a person with Parkinson's who does improvisation. That puts you in a very small circle.
I feel lonely already.
Talk to me about why you would choose to do improv and perhaps what the benefits of it are for your Parkinson's in particular.
So, the first perspective is really the emotional, mental one. And with improv, the only choice you really have is how you respond. And there are three basic choices: yes, and, yes, but, or no. And improv appeals to me from that philosophical context because all of us, if we really think about it, only have the choice of how we respond to events in our lives.
Right. So
And
this might be breaking news, Peter. You mean you didn't choose to have Parkinson's?
I must have slipped up and ticked the wrong box. It just arrived one day and I got my diagnosis and I just said, well, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. Well, and there
And
you
that
go. Back with
became,
the not expecting things. And for the use of improv within Parkinson's, maybe what people don't recognize as much is how much of what people who are affected by it deal with on the psychosocial level, right? When we're talking about anxiety, stress, depression, isolation, all of those things, does what you do mechanically beyond those choices and the philosophy you mentioned, does that help you deal with perhaps some of the things that come up unexpectedly in Parkinson's because you have some training in improvisation?
so there's sort of two aspects to that question. The first is the only surefire way of slowing the progression of Parkinson's is physical exercise. And the perspective I take and sort of the experiences I've had working with the improv team I work with is that we liken improv to exercise for the brain or cognitive exercise. And very much with Parkinson's, it's a use it or lose it. And the particular elements or perspectives of the cognitive impacts of Parkinson's that we believe and we've experienced are the benefit from really the study and practice of improv and the principles of improv are around word search, around freeing up imagination, around learning to settle and experiencing settling for the good enough rather than the perfect. Case in point on that element, I'm a word guy. I was a lawyer for my whole career. And so I always wanted the perfect word, which a lot of times was the $12 word. I've had to settle for the $4 word or the $6 word. And it's becoming fluent and flexible around use of language. Yeah, and I mentioned word search. And word search, one of the things that improv does is it allows you to embrace failure.
Mm.
Because if you fail forward, for instance, if I get stuck in a word in a conversation, even with people that don't know I have Parkinson's, I'll just say, I'm sorry, I'm having a word search moment. And that
And
gives
what's that do?
myself, well, it gives myself, it gives me permission
Mhm.
to just wait for the good enough word to arrive. And
I want
that's
to
like with life because, you
drill.
know, as your Parkinson's progresses, the physical and cognitive impacts start to manifest themselves more apparently. And improv certainly gives you the social confidence to engage fully in spite of your Parkinson's and in spite of the visible manifestations of the disease, and to just be much more accepting of oneself and accepting that that's who I am. That's the real me.
Wow. Wow. I don't know if it's a $12 word, but I'd give it at least 750. The combination of social confidence, that idea, confidence is assumed by many people. However, I just read a quote today that confidence is, in fact, the experience of practicing success and then building. It's not just something you say you have or don't have. So by practicing improvisation, and again, perhaps these potentially uncomfortable spaces of not knowing and practicing a comfortable way of engaging through yes and through allowing yourself to have the word search moment, you build confidence, don't you?
Absolutely, and it's very much a skills and practices and aptitudes based approach, because we, within the context of the games and principles and scenarios that you practice and perform around improv, you then build in the structures to help you sustain your social confidence and the fluency of your communication and engagement with the people around you.
Yeah. Your word about time, it goes fast, but I guess my last question to you would be, when, people from the outside look at improv and go, oh my gosh, I could never. Was that ever you? And if not, would you have a message for people, even if it wasn't you, to say, hey, it's worth giving a try?
I was a lawyer. I was part of the behind the scenes team that always tried to arrange and negotiate and facilitate. Improv was the last thing I ever contemplated. I used to practice at conferences. I participated in a conference a year, and it was just to get that practice in front of a microphone, in front of a big crowd. I was terrified, knee knocking, stuttering, the whole 9 yards. I still did it because I knew those skills were important. For improv, cognitive health is the key driver, and it's all part of embracing the condition we have, which is a crappy condition, a crappy disease. And it's living in the face of my only choice is how I respond, and I choose to engage fully with all my being.
That's outstanding. Well, I can't wait for people to get to see you. Like I got to see you over in Barcelona when we had that fantastic night at the World Parkinson's Congress. And now we get to do it online together on December 5th. So I look forward to seeing you play again. And thanks so much for spending a little time with us.
Thanks, Robert. Great to be with you today.
All right. Take care.